If you touch a hot stove, your nervous system fires an electrical impulse that yanks your hand away in milliseconds. It is localized and immediate. But to regulate blood pressure over a decade, or coordinate the physical changes of puberty, the body relies on a parallel network, a chemical internet known as the endocrine system. The messages sent across this network are called hormones. Derived from the Greek word hormio, meaning to excite or activate, hormones are chemical messengers secreted directly into the bloodstream by ductless endocrine glands. They operate in microscopic trace amounts, yet they dictate how your body grows, heals, and survives. Because they are released into the blood, hormones travel systemically, washing over every organ. But they only trigger an action when they encounter a specific target cell equipped with the exact corresponding molecular receptor. If a cell lacks that receptor, the hormone passes by without any effect. To master human physiology, you cannot treat glands as isolated organs. You have to view the body as a structured chemical grid, where every physiological change is the precise, trackable outcome of a specific molecular signal. We start at the top of the hierarchy. The biological starting point for this grid is the hypothalamus. Located deep in the brain, it acts as the neuroendocrine bridge, translating raw neurological input, like temperature or stress, into chemical orders. The hypothalamus routes these orders to a pea-sized structure sitting just below it, the pituitary gland. Often referred to as the Master Gland, the pituitary's job is to dispatch systemic signals that govern the rest of the body's endocrine organs. The pituitary is divided into two distinct lobes. The anterior lobe produces growth hormone, or somatotropin. This chemical acts directly on bones and skeletal muscles, stimulating amino acid uptake and driving cellular division to physically elongate the skeleton. This clinical photograph shows the mechanical power of growth hormone. An extreme overproduction of somatotropin during childhood results in gigantism. The scale of the patient's limbs compared to the medical professionals is the direct physiological output of a single, unregulated chemical messenger. A critical distinction lies in the specific reproductive roles of these two lobes. While the anterior lobe secretes prolactin to stimulate the production of milk, the posterior lobe is responsible for releasing oxytocin, the hormone that triggers the actual ejection of that milk and uterine contractions during labor. The posterior pituitary also releases ADH, or antidiuretic hormone, also known as vasopressin. When the body becomes dehydrated, vasopressin signals the kidneys to reabsorb water back into the blood, concentrating the urine and preventing fluid loss. The hypothalamus formulates the strategy, but the pituitary gland is the central radio tower, translating neural impulses into systemic biological commands. The body maintains the baseline through antagonistic homeostasis, a method of locking the internal environment into a tight range using paired competing hormones. The primary example here is the pancreas. When sugar levels spike after a meal, the pancreas releases insulin. Insulin binds to receptors on the cell surface, moving blood glucose into the cells for energy storage. It is strictly an anti-diabetogenic hormone. This vintage vial of insulin shows the first successful isolation of this specific chemical messenger. By extracting insulin and standardizing it into physical dosage units, medical science was able to manually step into the body's chemical grid and correct blood imbalances. This animated scale illustrates the glucose loop. Insulin actively pushes blood sugar levels down. To prevent a lethal continuous drop, the pancreas deploys glucagon.
During fasting, glucagon drops onto the opposite side, forcing the liver to release sugar and restoring equilibrium. This binary logic governs calcium regulation as well. In the neck, the thyroid gland releases calcitonin to lower blood calcium levels. Behind it, the parathyroid releases parathormone, or PTH. When calcium drops, PTH pulls calcium from the bones and returns it to the blood. Biological stability is not a passive state. It is an aggressive, mathematically precise tug-of-war between competing chemical signals. While the core loops handle stability, the body also requires an emergency override system to survive external threats. That role belongs to the adrenal glands, located on top of the kidneys. The adrenal gland is divided by function. The inner medulla secretes adrenaline, or epinephrine, for the immediate fight-or-flight surge. The outer cortex secretes cortisol, the body's stress hormone, designed to mobilize energy for sustained chronic pressure. Deep in the brain, the pineal gland operates as the body's biological clock. It secretes melatonin in direct response to darkness, locking our physiology into a 24-hour cycle. In the chest, the thymus produces thymosin, which facilitates the training of the immune system's T lymphocytes. The thymus is unique because its unction is tied to age. It is highly active in childhood, but continuously shrinks as we grow older. Finally, the gonads execute reproductive timing. The testes release testosterone, while ovaries release estrogen and progesterone. Crucially, progesterone is dedicated to maintaining the uterine environment to support pregnancy. The pituitary determines growth, but these peripheral glands are the tactical responders. They map external conditions, danger, light, and aging, into internal chemical adaptations. Diseases are not random. They are predictable breaks in the chemical logic of the endocrine grid. In hypothyroidism, the thyroid gland underproduces thyroxine. The metabolic engine stalls, causing fatigue and weight gain. Conversely, in hyperthyroidism, the gland overproduces, causing the engine to over-rev, resulting in rapid weight loss and cardiac palpitations. The term diabetes is applied to two distinct physiological failures. Diabetes mellitus is a pancreatic failure, occurring when lifestyle factors or genetics cause insulin resistance. Sugar remains in the blood. This flowchart isolates the distinction. While Path A shows mellitus, Path B shows diabetes insipidus. This has no relation to blood sugar. It's a pituitary failure where a lack of ADH prevents the kidneys from retaining water, resulting in rapid dehydration. PCOD follows a similar cascade. Chronic lifestyle stress or poor diet induces insulin resistance. The body responds by overproducing insulin, forcing ovaries to manufacture male androgens. This surge halts normal egg development, leading to cysts. Mastery of this material requires tracing a physical symptom backward until you locate the exact signaling failure that caused it. To test our understanding of this system, let's run a rapid-fire review of the most critical high-yield associations. First, the master gland is the pituitary, but the master of the master gland is the hypothalamus. Second, the specific hormone responsible for raising blood calcium levels by pulling it from the bones is PTH, or parathormone. Third, the hormone responsible for both uterine contractions and milk ejection is oxytocin, which is released by the posterior pituitary. Fourth, a deficiency in ADH, or vasopressin, results in severe dehydration without sugar in the urine, a condition known as diabetes insipidus. The human endocrine system operates on flawless chemical logic. By understanding the top-down hierarchy and the antagonistic pairs fighting for balance, any biological question can be intuitively decoded.